Hello, sisters. Okay, this is going to be quite short, I think. Because, like I said, I like the shorter discussions, and also I have a bit of a headache. Also, I might go pick up a shift at work. I don't really want to, but my summer plans are pretty insane. Some of you have already emailed me about rides and stuff, so it's gonna be fun. Alright. Let's see if we can get Momo over here. 1 second, please. Momo. Wow. Sit down. Just go back to what you were doing. Lie there and look pretty. Okay, well, that was short-lived. I started embroidering some stuff I want to sell. My plan, based on the amount of time I have and because of the US currency, is to sell it all in Michigan this summer. But after that, we'll see. Basically, I need American cash to spend while I'm there, and I'm planning to take out less than I need and then try to make some off of, I don't know, we'll see. What we'll see. But this is one of my designs. Come on, focus. Camera, why you be like this? Okay, now it's kind of focused. You can't see the dark green on the outside is sparkly. Can you see it's sparkly? I'm gonna I'm not exactly sure what I'm gonna do. I might just fold over the edges and make it into a square and embroider straight lines in green on the edges. Or I might make a piping out of this fabric and pipe the edges in it, I don't know. I'm waiting till the end. I'll whip out my sewing machine at the end when I have 30 of them done. This one I've only done stuff in green right now. It's the threads that I have out. Why is it so out of focus? It's not perfect, but it's pretty decent, this one. Again, I'm not sure if I'll fold down the edges or what. I could also mount them on those wooden hoops. I've done that before and put ribbons on the outside. It looks kind of cool. How much would you pay for this? Because I asked my friends and they were $10 to $15, and I'm do you know how many hours it took me to make that? I don't know. We'll see. I'm trying to just use stuff I already have, so the only investment is time, which is worth nothing, obviously. Yeah, we'll see. And I just started this one yesterday. I'm really actually pissed off with it. I'm not happy with it at all. It looks like crap. But my friends were you should just finish it and lean into the handmade thing. Okay, I don't know why the camera won't focus on it. $45. Yeah. I don't know. I was thinking maybe I'll mark them as 25 and then barter or something. You have a series. Yeah, no. So there's the double Venus, the Venus, and then the axe, the Labras. I was thinking of doing XX also, but I think these would be pretty popular. So I'm gonna do these in at least 5 different color combinations. Just the thread that I have right now. I have so many containers of thread. I'm just trying to look for the sparkly stuff. Can you see that this is sparkly? And base the designs off the sparkly stuff I have. You didn't know I had those skills? Oh yeah. I've made a lot of embroidery stuff. Usually they're a lot bigger pieces and they're just for myself. I'm also gonna make some really, really basic designs that I'm gonna sell for $3 to $5. Just a single thread design, Anyway. Oh, and I'm gonna make stuff for jet sashes because those are really cheap and easy to make. And then even if I sell them for $5 or $10, that'll be a decent profit. I don't know. Price dependent on customer attitude. Maybe that's what I should do. I don't know, the women's festivals I've been at, like, it's not barring exactly, but, like, you have a discussion with them, and basically you're like, "Look, I want this. I can afford $15, not $20," and they'll be like, "Okay." So, um, we'll see. I'm also not sure about, like, the practicalities of having a booth. Like, do I have to spend all my time there? Can I ask my friends to spend some time there, but then it's, like, making money for me? I don't know. We'll see. Um, yeah, I'm just trying to sell it with me, like, in person while I'm at places for American money, and then even if I end up with a bunch of cash I don't, like, need at the moment, I can convert it back to Canadian when I get here and make, like, a decent. Yeah, I think, did they make you pay for a booth? I don't really know, honestly. I bought my tickets and then I realized that this was my plan. I forgot about this plan from last year. Um, but I know this other woman that I became friends with last year who was, like, a low-key artisan. Like, she doesn't have, like, a website or, like, a business card or anything. She just, like, sold her stuff in a booth there. Like, she didn't even have a sign. She just, like, had her stuff on a table. I think I might try to, like, split space with her, like, ask if I can, like, rent out half her table or something. Um That's a cool idea, Beatrix. Beat said, "If I could sew, I'd make sashes like they have in the brownies and girl guides. Then I'd make the badges to go on them, but with feminist images." That's a cool idea. Yeah. Um, honestly, like the places I'm going, they're pretty small. Like, I don't think it'll be a big deal. Turf badges. Yeah. I just I want to start with stuff that I'm 100% sure will sell, and also I'm 100% sure I can execute really well. Like, I want to start doing words like maybe dyke or female or turf. Um, yeah. I also was thinking if I can, like, order fabric with, like, GNC centric, like, printed on the back, then I can, like, print it on it, then I can, like, cut it out and, like, sew it onto the back of my stuff, so at least my name is on it somewhere. I don't know. Mm, I was also thinking of making buttons, but buttons I used to have a couple of Etsy shops where I sold buttons. Um, it's like a whole thing. I have to get my Photoshop set up again and get my printer I have, like, a new computer. Well, it's not that new, it's, like, a year and a half old, but, I have to get my printer set up with this computer instead of just, like, using it as a photocopier, and then the most annoying thing about buttons is, like, you make the design, you make the buttons, and you photograph them and put them up online to sell, and then you don't know what's gonna sell. So I have, like, probably, like, 200 buttons that I never sold, that I have, like, the samples that I made for the ads that are just sitting there. Like, I'm gonna bring them with me and just give them out for free. Like, I don't know. Mm. Oh, you do? Yeah. Anyway, so I think I might just make, like, some really basic stuff, like Labrases, Venuses, double Venuses, and then, um, bring, like, a bunch of them and sell them for super cheap. Because that's the other thing too, is I have, like, a lot of button materials that when I had the businesses, as soon as I made income, I reinvested them in supplies. So I have, like, I don't know, probably like 3 grand in, like, button supplies just, like, been sitting. I have, like, moved twice since I got them and haven't been selling buttons in all that time. Um, I should just make, like, a ton of Labrys buttons and a ton of, like, female buttons and a ton of turf buttons and just sell them all for $2 at the women's festivals. Yeah, I don't know. I don't wanna, like, make money. What I wanna do is try to recoup my cost from this 1-month road trip that I'm taking. Okay, anyway, I've talked for 9 minutes about this. Okay, this chapter. It's gonna be really quick and easy, this conversation. The first thing I have to say, sell the buttons for $5. I don't know. Like, I have, like, small buttons that are like 1.25 inches, and then I have, like, the big buttons. I was thinking maybe to sell the big buttons for like $3 and the small buttons for like $2. Because also the smaller buttons are more popular. I don't know what that noise is. Okay. I don't need to make like a ton of money. I just need to make like some money to recoup my costs. I don't want to be like super greedy. And I remember going scope them up before you give a price. Okay, maybe. Yeah, I won't put any prices on anything then. I'll just have prices in my head and put like, what was the thing that Hanang said? Price dependent on customer's attitude. Yeah. Don't undervalue your work. Yeah. Well, I bought this thing last year. And I actually don't want to promote the artist because I realized after I bought this that they were selling some trans crap. I bought this thing. It says Dyke. It's like a Labras. It came with some pins. It says that the fabric is like American made and dyed in America. So like that's good because I don't know where the fuck my shit comes from. I bought it at Michael's. Well, the fabric actually is an old set of sheets. Like I never use the flat sheets. I always just use the fitted sheets. So I have like a lot of flat sheets like for years that have been accumulating. And I was like, I should just use that fabric for art shit. But this, I'm not trying to like denigrate the artist. But as you can see, it's just two pieces of fabric that were sewn together. And then she did like the, what do you call it? Screen printing or whatever to put the word Dyke on it. And I paid $15 for this. So I'm not trying to say that this is like bad or something. I'm just saying that like the amount of time that went into making that is like not very much. Whereas like this, I would say from like, and I haven't finished it off, silkscreen, thank you. From like tracing the design to like filling it in, and then I still have to put the piping or whatever around the edges, probably took me at least 3 or 4 hours. So like at least $20, I think. I don't know. Anyway, we shall see. I also want to make some like super basic stuff that's like just basically the inside version of this and like give it to for free to women that I like. Cuz anyway, whatever. Okay, whatever. Let's talk about the fucking book. Okay, so the book. I have two main thoughts about the book. I mean, this chapter, hair. The first thought I have, okay, no, I have three. One, the whole idea that women had to like fight to have their embroidered bookmarks are a no-go because look at the back of these things. Okay, well, again, you can't really see it, but there's lots of knots. It's not really that flat. I've been putting them under like heavy books to try to like flatten them out. But also as I haven't done this embroidery in like over a year. As I start doing it more, it'll get like less disastrous in the back. So maybe eventually. Okay. Or if I do them really basic. Anyway, the fact that women had to like justify the sanitary issues with their hair is insane to me. So like for most of history, we haven't had running water and people didn't bathe every day, right? Lice and other crap like that was like a huge issue. And it's just crazy to me that they had to justify it. I'm like, you must have seen the amount of work that went into keeping the hair clean and been around like the smell of the dirty hair when they couldn't keep it clean, right? Like, and I also think about like, is it yellow fever, red fever? What is that? You know what I'm talking about? What's that one? I saw a TV show where someone had that. I don't know. Whatever. There's sicknesses where you either lose your hair or you develop like severe issues with like your scalp, bed bugs, lice. Also, when it comes to STDs, whatever. There's a lot of shit going on with hair to do with hygiene. It's totally understandable to me that women were like, this is not realistic to me. Because I'm sure in this era, like before the 1920s, I'm sure many men knew of women who had to like cut off their hair because they had lice or because of something like really serious. So it's just like really strange to me that they were like, this is not a good enough reason, although it's like they're men and they're entitled, so of course. My other big point was yeah, exactly. Like so many aristocrats and like people of class actually had shaved heads with wigs because like the cleanliness was such a huge issue, right? Prostitutes also, because like obviously cleanliness is like an issue when you're having sex with a bunch of men because men are fucking gross. Like someone posted on Twitter the other day, like, what is the origins of like a Birkin, which is like a little, it's like a wig for your pubes, and I was like, hygiene issues. Merkin, thank you, not Birkin, Merkin, yeah, whatever. Anyway, yeah. Anyway, my point is that in the industrialized world, it's very understandable that women were like, this is a big fucking problem. My other thing to talk about is, it's interesting to me, like my mom, for example. I would hear her and my grandmother joking about like, oh, like in the 70s when we all had perm, in the 80s when we all had perms, or like, you know, whatever. Hearing older women that I was around when I was younger joking about the different like eras of hair styles. And like, I don't know if this is just because I'm in this era, but I don't really think so. In the early 2000s, side bangs were a thing and everybody was straightening their hair. But I think in the last like 20 years, there haven't really been any like specific hairdos that every single person had. That it was like weird if you didn't have that hairstyle. Like, I feel like right now, hairstyles are pretty individual. And part of that might be like COVID because people started cutting their own hair or like doing weird hairdos or whatever. But just, I don't know. I feel like right now, hair is pretty individual. Like, there aren't many professions that you could like walk into and somebody would say you have the wrong hairstyle for this. Unless you have like a buzzed head, which is like pretty fucking weird for at least in North America. Maybe if you were like in New York City or LA or something, people would think that's totally normal for women to have a buzzed head, no big deal, but okay, I retract my statement. There are definitely a bunch of jobs where you had to like you have to like look more feminine or whatever. I'm just saying. The wolf cut? What is that? It's like that weird like mullet type thing, right? I'm just saying there are haircuts that come in style, but you are not like the weirdo if you don't have that style. It's quite individual these days. Anyway, I remember in high school a lot of my friends tried to do the ombre hair dye thing, which is very difficult to do at home. Okay, no, I actually have another thought about this chapter of the book. So, they talk about how she talks about spending so much time at the hair salon, right? And how it was like a normal thing for women to spend like an afternoon at the hair salon if they were going to go out on the town or whatever. And my thought is like money and time, right? How much money does that cost you? How much time does that cost you? And it's interesting because now I would say basically like all of the people of like under 30 of my generation do their hair at home mostly. Like they'll go get a haircut. They might go for a hair dye or like a chemical straightening or something. But they do like 99% of their hair stuff at home. It's like makeup, right? Makeup has gotten a lot more elaborate in the last 20 years. Like the number of like layers you do, the number of different types of products you use. Like, and everybody's teaching themselves at home, spending hours and hours experimenting with the makeup they have, watching YouTube videos, all that shit, right? Now it's the same thing with hair. Women spend so much time like putting in all these different treatments and whatever. So I think it's like when they used to go to the salon, they would spend probably more money and less time doing it. And now that they do it at home, they probably spend more time and less money, although not necessarily, because the hair products are so crazy. Like the cost and the amount of the hair products being put in. Anyway, the other thing I wanted to say was, oh yeah, hair is like a social. Well, when they were talking about counterculture stuff, right? So like men growing out their hair specifically to look like anti-war, like to look like the opposite of like a military haircut. It's interesting now because we've all seen like the undercut, for example, right? Or the thing where like the side of your head is shaved and this side is like long. These are like the queer haircuts. I just find it interesting. Like hair is a thing that is visible that you can use to like signify like stuff, right? Obviously. So like obviously people are gonna do it. And even me, like with the buzz cut, it looks pretty gay. But I just think it's interesting. It's also interesting, like for like as an aspect of lesbian culture. There's so many like lesbian specific haircuts that I haven't looked this shit up in a long time, so I couldn't really name many of them. But like, for example, like the faux hawk, the mohawk on women. There's a lot of stuff that was like from the 80s onward, or maybe the 80s is a bad example because that was like punk, but there's a lot of haircuts that were historically seen to be like a lesbian haircut that in the last like 10 or 15 years they're now just like queer haircuts. Mullets, that's the word. I had a mullet for a long time. I don't know where exactly the line between mohawk and mullet was, but I used to get it at the hairdresser, and then I just started like shaving the sides myself and growing it out, and then it became a mullet. And I was like, this is much more easy to upkeep, so I just went with mullets. The first time I had short hair, my mom tried to convince me to get a faux hawk because she thought that it was like a more stylized, slightly more feminine haircut. And then I was like, what is the point of this? Like, it was very randomly shaped and it was impossible to upkeep without product. The mullet is like you just shave it and comb it and that's it. You have a haircut, you know? The mullet was a Canadian lesbian hairstyle for years. Yeah, exactly. Or purple. Yeah, I've had blue, purple, like aqua, teal, green, lime. Last time I went with my roommate to Mexico, I had like a green afro. Like it was like this, but I grew it out so it was like really awkwardly length. It was the exact length that it wasn't flipping back also or like being combed down because I had bleached it. So I had this like it was like a green afro and then like I cut the sides so it was like a mohawk or what, I don't know. It was like very strange. And all of her family members, the little kids were like green, like woo. It was funny. Anyway. Anyway, those are my thoughts about hair. Women spend way too much time and money and energy obsessing about their hair. I'm not trying to like insult them. I'm just like, you have better shit to do with your life. The way you look doesn't actually matter that much. I've been buzzing my hair for years. I briefly grew it out during COVID to be a mullet. I think you can see that in some of my earlier videos from last year. And then I was like, oh, you know what? It was easier to get a job with a mullet than with like my hair like this. So yeah. And then once I got the jobs that I have now, like the 2 jobs I have now, I buzzed my head again. Yeah. Anyway. Okay. So as of right now, I don't have any work shifts on Tuesday. So Tuesday is the next time we're going to see each other. If I pick up a shift, I'll post a community post and I'll move the scheduled thing. Remember when you buzzed it and they asked if you were non-binary? Yeah. Like, I've been picking up shifts at different locations of the places that I work. And oh my god. One of the girls was like, my pronouns are he, him. And then she like gave me this look and I was like, yeah. And it had been so long since I interacted with a gendy. Like, it had literally been like a year and 2 months since I interacted with a gendy face to face. I was like so taken off guard. I was like, my pronouns are she, her. Like, in the past, I've been really, really good about not engaging with the pronouns thing, but just coming face to face with this girl with this like attitude, I was like, what's happening? Yeah. Anyway. And it was so funny because I'm more like masculine than her, whatever the fuck that means. It was just so strange. Like, I could tell that she was insecure that I was there, like just wearing like jeans and flannel, like I always wear. And then she was there with like, I'm not going to describe her, but like, less butch. I don't really call myself butch. Like, I don't really understand it, but and that she was like kind of upset that she was a he, him, and I wasn't. Because, like, I don't know, the whole thing, I was just like, I don't know what to do with this in like this situation. I was like, I'm a she, her. Like, leave me the fuck alone. Okay. What was that YouTube channel you guys were recommending? It was like feminist VHS archive. Yeah, anyway, I'm gonna go look that up. Okay, have a great day. I'll see you guys on Tuesday. Okay, goodbye.